Here we are. Can the expectations get any higher for my Texas Longhorns? Before I get started talking about my Texas Longhorns, hook 'em. Shout out to the Texas Longhorns. This year, like last year, everyone is paying attention to what is Texas going to do? What is Arch Manning going to do? All of these different things. And you know, I purposely make videos about Texas and don't really talk about Arch Manning because he is who he's going to be. He is going to be what he's going to be. For me, when I look at Texas and when I look at this total team and when I just look at football, a quarterback can only do so much. There's so many other parts to a football team that it takes to win. And I like to focus on those pieces. While everybody likes to focus on Arch and what Arch is going to do, what Arch's numbers, and is he going to win the Heisman? I don't care about any of that. I'm focusing on the team. Arch Manning is responsible for 1/3 of this Texas football team. Arguably, you could say the most important third, but depending on how you look at football, they're all just as important. We saw teams win games based on the other 1/3 of special teams. We saw teams win games based on the 1/3 being defense. So Arch Manning is going to be what Arch Manning is going to do. I am not here to talk about Arch Manning. I want to talk about some secret weapons for Texas this year, because if they are going to be successful, they're going to need a couple of secret weapons to work out for them. And I've thought about a few that I want to talk about in this video. However, before I get started about secret weapons, we all know that I'm a researcher by design, by default, by training, by all of those things. I went back and looked at my notes for the 2025 season about some things that bothered me and things that annoyed me. The main thing that annoyed me about Texas last year was their lack of discipline. Way too many penalties at all the wrong times. It was just terrible. So in the making of this video, I am going to assume that Coach Sark is going to have the discipline figured out. I'm going to assume that Texas is not going to be where they're at in penalties last year. And then I started thinking, is this just my imagination that I think Texas is really bad at penalties last year? And really, they weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. So I looked it up. I did some research, and let me pull up my iPad here because let me tell you, Texas was worse in penalties than you even think they were. Let me tell you how bad Texas was last year with disciplining being penalized. They were 115th in penalties. 115th. I believe it only goes up to like 134 or 135. 115th in penalties, not good. They had 108 total penalties last year. 108 total penalties last year. That is embarrassing. And then 906 yards were gained in penalties last year for Texas. Texas gave 900 yards away in 13 games last year. You are going to be nobody of importance having that many penalties. Unacceptable. That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. So then when I take this a little bit further, because now I was fascinated because I was like, I knew I wasn't losing my mind. But if I continue to look at this, 8 penalties per game, 70 yards per game. Imagine playing a football game where you just give somebody 70 yards. You just give it to them. They don't have to do anything. You're just basically saying, hey, here's 70 yards. Do you want these 70 yards? Not good, Texas. We have to clean up the penalties. So in making this video, I am going to assume that Coach Sark is going to get the discipline together for his team, because I don't want to see that crap this year. I don't want to be yelling at the screen about penalties, especially pre-snap penalties. Those piss me off, and especially special teams penalties. Those penalties, brutal, absolutely brutal. So let me just talk about a couple of things here that I am going to hope that will be Texas's secret weapon this year, because I hope you're enjoying your video. Don't forget to hit that like button, double check and make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. If you think about it, leave me a comment in the comment section below as well. And did I say turn on those notification bells? If I didn't, make sure you turn on those notification bells. Like the video, make sure you're subscribed, turn the notification bells, leave me a comment section in the comment section below. I'll let you get back to your video. If Texas is going to be nearly as good as we think they should be based on the talent, that some of these secret weapons are going to have to show up. And the first one I'm going to say is going to be Will Muschamp. Why? Because if Will Muschamp is better than PK, that means our defense is going to get better. Also, a good defense is going to allow Coach Sark to not even have to think about this defense, to not even have to put his nose in to see what's going on. More so, Muschamp is just going to take care of it. Coach Sark is going to be able to look at him, do what he needs to do, and Coach Sark then is able to really focus on this offense. If Will Muschamp hits as a Texas defensive coordinator, that is by default going to make Texas a way better football team. So my first secret weapon is going to be Will Muschamp doing Coach Sark a very big solid and coming through for him and allowing him to focus exclusively on that offense. Now, he's still the head coach. I get that. We all know also, I feel like Coach Sark needs an offensive coordinator. He's not getting one. So this is what we have. So I expect Muschamp to have this defense looking even better than they have looked in the past. That is a tall order, but I expect him to do it. The second thing I'm going to say here is going to be offensive line. I feel comfortable with our tackles. Sometimes I feel comfortable with this offensive line. Most times I'm worried. I'm concerned. And if I'm worried and I'm concerned, I need them to turn out to be a secret weapon, because without that offensive line, Arch Manning is irrelevant. How do I know that? We saw that last year. The offensive line last year, bad, just absolutely terrible. Kyle Flood needs to get this offensive line together. Coach Sark needs to get this offensive line together. This offensive line should not be a problem for the Texas Longhorns. You should not have Arch Manning at quarterback and have an offensive line problem. That is unacceptable. We had that problem last year. I expect them to figure it out this year, and I expect that to be a secret weapon this year. This offensive line needs to get their crap together. All of them. Guards, tackles, centers, all of them. I need them to have their crap together. And then, if they have their crap together, the next piece of this is just going to make sense, and that is going to be the running backs. I expect Texas to have a running game. I expect Texas to have an effective running game. For Texas to win games, they have to have an effective running game. Period. Full stop. You cannot win football games if you cannot run the football. We tried to do that this year. We literally tried. It's not going to work. Last year was the worst running back group I have ever seen Coach Sark have since he was the coach of the University of Texas. There's a very strong statement, and I 100% agree with that statement. He has to get this offensive line together so that this running game can work. That is going to be the key to victory, because in football, if you have a run game going, if your offensive line knows what's going on, guess who looks better by default? Your quarterback just looks better when you have a good running game. And that is just not in college football. That is in the NFL. That is in high school. That is just football 101. Football 101 says, in order to have your quarterback looking the best that he can look and have him looking at peak form, whatever that looks like for that quarterback, he has to have a run game. He has to have an offensive line to block for him. So if Coach Sark wants this 2026 Texas football team to be successful, he needs to figure out how he's going to run this football, and he needs to figure out this offensive line. Those two things are going to be the secret weapon. And a lot of people might ask me, why don't you talk about Arch Manning? Why don't you talk about Arch Manning? In my opinion, where I sit, the way that I look at football, Arch Manning doesn't matter to me if we don't have an offensive line that can block for him, and if we don't have running backs that can help make his life easier. Because if we don't have those two things, it doesn't matter what Arch Manning is going to do. He's not going to look as good as he can look. So Sark has to figure out this offense. Don't even get me started on the receivers dropping the football. I will just let them be where they're going to be. But if this defense is able to step up, and if this defense is able to bring some relief to this Texas offense, that is going to help. Now, the funny thing about this, the strongest point on this Texas football team for really the last 3 years has been the defense. So the defense has held up their end of the bargain. The defense has done every single thing they're supposed to do. The defense, I can't get up here and complain about the defense the last couple of years. I just can't, because they have done every single thing that they're supposed to do. This offense has been slacking, and the offense is Coach Sark's side of the football. And as an offensive coach, I need my offensive coach to get his offense figured out. That's it. This isn't complicated. I'm not asking him to do too much. I'm asking him to, in essence, do his job. Lead this team. Cool. He's great at recruiting. He's great at all the things, all right? This isn't a knock on Coach Sark. He's great at so many things. What I need him to do is put that final piece together, and that is having an offense that is fluid, that can work, that knows how to run the football, that knows how to run block. I need him to call good plays, and I need all of it to work together. Because in order for Texas to get where they're trying to go, or to be where I want them to be, all of this has to make sense. All of this just has to make sense. Now, before I end this video, I was going to give an honorable mention to special teams, because there were a lot of penalties on special teams last year, and it wasn't the field goal kicker's fault. He did everything he was supposed to do. He's not here anymore. I don't really know what special teams is looking like. I am not going to sit up here and act like I know what special teams is going to be looking like, but I need my head coach to figure all of that out. So I'm not going to talk about special teams. I'm going to assume they have that figured out, because I have seen them have that figured out. This offense is a whole different issue. I'm concerned about this Texas offense. If you want to know What I am the most concerned about with this Texas football team, it is the offense. And it is not Arch Manning. It is not the receivers. It is the running backs. It is the offensive line. It is the head coach making it make sense and making it look good. I am not going to get off of this until Coach Sark proves to me that he's got this. I also think running the football is going to help us on third down, but I'm not even going to get into that today. That is what I'm thinking about. Here are some things that I'm really paying close attention to as the season starts to get closer, as the games start to get closer. We have Ohio State in week 2. Texas arguably has one of the hardest schedules in all of football. I don't really care about that. I don't care about all the reasons why we can't. I better start seeing all the reasons why we can and why we're going to be absolutely fantastic this year. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section below about this Texas football team. Let me know in the comment section below what you're looking forward to when it comes to this Texas football team. And as always, hook 'em. I'll see you in my next video.